Hello, it's Tom here. Once again, are breaking down the FODEUSS Draft. Today we will be breaking down rounds 11 and 12. Be sure to watch the previous videos if you want to get caught up on this historical draft of baseball players from any and every era in the history of the game. We will eventually simulate them in this game out of the park baseball once everybody's got their whole teams. Should only be, I don't know, 3 more months. I'm only kind of kidding because I mean, we're getting through about 2 rounds a week on average, and we have 20 rounds to go. So, that's 10 more weeks. So, yeah, about 2.5 more months realistically. But, I mean, it's the funnest part of the game. And especially with 16 people, it does take longer, but it's also just that much crazier. And we're just going to have such a fun league this time, I think, with really having to dip deep into the bag to pick these guys. But let's look at who people picked in rounds 11 and 12. Kicking off round 11, we had Jedi Marine here with Lee Smith, drafting another Cardinal legend. It's funny, though, some of these Cardinals legends also played for the Cubs, like the hated rival. Even Rogers Hornsby won an MVP for the Cubs. Bruce Sutter, another one. Dizzy Dean. Anyway, Lee Smith looking really good for a closer, I think. You know, I favor this stuff for my closers, and he's just got the great stuff. All of his pitches look really good. Slider, forkball, and cutter all looking great in the turquoise. You know, the movement numbers you might like to see a little higher, but the home runs allowed looks pretty good. The control looks good. He's got the 30 stamina. Not great defense, but you don't worry about that too much from your pitchers. Just a really good pick. And you know, when you can nail it, like you can get a guy that was like a childhood favorite or like a legend for your team, that's also cool. I think that's just a little bonus. So good pick by Jedi Marine kicking off round 11. Let's go to the next one. Daryl Porter. It says here 1911, but that is obviously not correct because Daryl Porter was certainly not born in 1911. I think we have 1979 Porter here, which I believe was the actual year picked. And he's looking pretty good. I mean, you like the offensive numbers, right? Pretty good contact, good avoid Ks. His BABIP number is the one that's kind of dragging him down here, but good power numbers and great eye. Just the catcher defense, at least according to my ratings. And I'm just like a broken record at this point, but this is, probably like on the 80 scale, this is more like a 60 defense because everything we're seeing from catchers is kind of seems to be maxing out at like 65 in this save. So it's really probably not that bad. It's probably pretty decent defense, to be honest, and this arm is probably a little better than that. I would get the report from NT on this guy. Maybe look at some more years, too. I don't know. I haven't really looked at his career to see if there's any more obvious years. We could do that really quick. Just looking here. Okay, 79. He hit 291. Yeah, he had the 121 walks. So he had a 421 on base. 142 OPS plus. Yeah, I don't really see any other years. Possibly 73, 133 OPS plus. It was like early in his career, but he only hit 254 that year, only walked 57 times. So his strengths here aren't going to be there in that season. So unless the defense was like crazy better or something, I think I would just stick with this season. Overall, I'd say a decent pick. Let's go to the next guy. Another Royal. Wade Davis, picked by Dark Lord of the Empire here. And he had some crazy relief seasons, right? We got a 2015 Wade Davis here. Oh yeah, look at these numbers. Jesus. Just the control is down. I've been seeing this from a lot of the guys that I'm scouting as well, but like when everything else looks this insane, you're not going to worry about that too much. Going to be facing a lot of free swingers anyway. You might walk a few guys, but you're going to be striking out guys and not giving up homers. So the only thing you maybe don't love is that the stamina is down that notch, like it's only the 25. But so he might, if he gets knocked around or if he starts walking guys, whatever, he might run out of gas really quick. But I think as long as that doesn't happen, he's going to be cruising. And that's an excellent pick. I didn't remember him looking this crazy. 75 curveball and a 70 cutter, and then both his other pitches are also great. So just having those 4 great pitches, I think, is all you really need, especially for a bullpen guy. So awesome pick with Wade Davis, Dark Lord of the Empire. And then we got Autumn with Tim Raines. You love to see Tim Raines. I know he was a favorite of mine when I was a kid. Let's see. And he's looking really good. This is the 83 year that Autumn picked. Let's just glance at his stats. I mean, I feel like this is another Autumn player, right? It's like perfect for his team again. It's just the contact is good and the speed is crazy. So like he's just building this fun team of contact speed guys. They don't have much power, but we've seen this be successful before. So I don't think it's a bad strategy at all. You know, speed never takes a day off. Whereas, like, if you're depending on home run hitters, like, they might hit a home run every third game or whatever. But, I mean, that would be crazy if they did. They'd hit, 60 home runs or whatever. But even, what about the other 2 games? Like, whereas with their speed guys, they're always going to be fast. So, just looking at his numbers here really quick. I mean, 85 and 86 kind of stand out to me. The batting average is way up. The steals are still there. He didn't steal 90 bases, but he got caught less also. He stole 70 bases in both those seasons. So I don't know. He hit under 383, which was the year picked. I'm going to just look at 86 really quick. Let's just compare really quick. Let's see if it looks better. And then we need the Jeopardy theme music for this part, but we don't have it. I could hum it, but even that might get me a copyright strike. We can't get shut down before the draft is over. People are relying on these breakdowns. This is an important service I'm providing to the FODEUSS Draft. Okay. Oh, it does look, I mean, if it's a full star, better. Yeah, this just looks, I mean, you still have the crazy speed. The defense in left field looks way better all of a sudden. And the offense looks better. I think that's a clear choice. I mean, I, of course, get the actual reports, as always, but just based on my reports, 86 over 83. Do it. Make the move. Make the change. All right, we're cruising right along here. Let's get into Toon's pick of Jeff Kent. 2000 Jeff Kent. Was that the MVP year? I believe it might have been. And then Barry Bonds won it 4 years in a row. Giants win 5 straight MVPs. I think that might be accurate. Oh, he's looking really good. Just this kind of balance that we've seen from guys like Bregman before. And really good defense at either first or second. Obviously, you think of him at second. And having the good defense at second is more valuable than having it at first, I would say. But you do have those options there, which is nice. And really good base running numbers as well. And he can bunt for a hit. So yeah, Kent, good pick. Love the Jeff Kent pick. And let's get into the next one. It's Yak with John Clarkson. Now, I think this is supposed to be... I imported 1885, but it is hilarious that it says John Clarkson's Reanimated Corpse 1985, because I think Yak accidentally said 85, 1985. And Clarkson, again, one of these kind of early, pre-dead ball, like early years of baseball pitchers. And I just don't think we've been getting accurate reports for any of them, but might as well show what mine looks like. At least he does have the two really good pitches, the curveball and the changeup, and the crazy stamina that you'd expect from him. I think these movement numbers just, they're getting scrunched a little bit by my save here, but probably look quite a bit better. And it makes sense that his fastball is maybe not the best in 1885. I don't know. Apparently Amos Russi had a really good one, though. Anyway, let's go to the next guy. We got another pitcher. Minnesota with Bert Blyleven. Another, favorite on his team. It's funny, like, I just don't lean into that anymore. Like, I traded Ken Griffey Jr. to get Willie Mays, and I guess that was sort of when I made that choice. Like, I'm going for my FODEUSS guys, not my real life guys. Although I did have Edgar the last 2 years, but that was just because nobody picked him, and I was like, fuck, nobody wants Edgar, I'll take him. And I loved having him. It was great, but it's not like I, was on a mission to get the Mariners guys. But I love it, I think another part of that is a lot of the other people playing FODEUSS are fans of teams with a much more rich history of having star players, and ones that weren't douchebags like A-Rod. So, like, when you have this history of, Blylevens and Puckett's and everybody, like, you want to grab those guys if you can. And also, Bert Blyleven looking really good here. He only has the 3 pitches, but they're all really good. The curveball has potential to be even better. The control is good. The movement's good. The stuff is good. All around, just a really good pitcher. Just this BABIP number is maybe a little low, but at least he's not giving up a ton of homers. And he's got the 75 stamina. Very solid. So, and he's from the Netherlands, which is, as we know from the Baseball Classic, very, very rare. And few players enjoy the game more than Bert Blyleven. So there you go. It feels like if that translates at all, it's going to be a fun guy to have in the clubhouse. All right. Moving on to Sean with Jeff Bagwell. Going with 94. Another one of these guys that just had one of those crazy strike-shortened years. And who knows if he would have kept up the pace if, they hadn't called off the World Series that year in the last month and a half of the season. But regardless, he's not being punished for the fact that the season was cut short. And his numbers are looking as you'd expect. I mean, basically. Maybe you'd expect him to be even a little higher. And maybe in NT's reports, they look a little higher. But the contact and the power, the combination is just an all-around great bat, and he's going to give you really good defense at first. And he's good on the bases. So, yeah, just a really all-around, well-rounded player. And a great pick from Sean. All right, Cubby with Hippo Vaughn. Doesn't look like we had a year here. So I likely looked at 2. Maybe not, though. Maybe I just saw one. Yeah, it looks like I just saw one that looked like it was the clear-cut year, probably. Let's see if it has the year. Yeah, 1917. It looks like what I went with. And he's looking really good. 3 good pitches. 90 stamina, which is crazy. Never going to get tired, this guy. And these numbers aren't, spectacular, but if you got the 3 good pitches, and he's got the potential to have this really good stuff And, solid control, not giving up too many homers. That's a really good pick, I think. And he's really good at holding runners, which makes sense as a lefty. Usually you see this number from lefties. Occasionally I've seen it from righties too, though. And, yeah, looks like he expects to be in the starting rotation, so get him out there. Great pick by Cubby. All right, Sean had another pick here, making some deals. Or the other one was the one that he made a deal for. This is his normal pick, but it looks like Rico Petrocelli, the Red Sox shortstop. His famous 1969 season with his power explosion. And yeah, the numbers are kind of skewed towards the power numbers, but those are looking really good. And the avoid Ks. When you have that avoid Ks combined with this power, I think that's great. Just the BABIP is a little low, maybe. But, yeah, he's also got the defense you want out of your shortstop. Not going to hurt you there. Got good range, never making errors. Strong arm, good at turning double plays. 60 overall. So, yeah, I think Rico should do quite well. And another great pick by Sean. It's fun to see Sean back in the draft and finally catching up, filling out the rest of his team. It's he took a big gamble, but there's plenty of guys left, like we knew there would be. Even with 16 teams, it takes a while to fucking get all the guys, And then Wang with a shortstop right after Rico, Jack Glasscock, who was one of those guys that feuded with Buck Ewing, who I mentioned in the last episode. Glasscock seemed like he was kind of a hard ass, but probably in a good way. Probably in a good way for your team. And crazy numbers. Crazy numbers from your shortstop. About the same as Rico with the defense. And not the power of Rico, but these contact numbers are just awesome. Especially this avoid Ks, 90 avoid Ks, which I gotta say, it doesn't seem like it should be higher than Tommy Holmes. Although I guess I should see how many times he struck out. Do we have it right here? Okay, we do. 8 times. Okay, well, Tommy struck out 9 times in the 40s, and this was 1890. I mean, fair enough, though. Fair enough. He struck out 8 times. That's pretty good. Good job, Glasscock. All right, let's look at the next guy. He's also got the great speed. I mean, what you see from these 1880s, 1890s guys. I know some people new to the draft are like, why do they keep taking these old guys? Well, because they look like this. And if you can't beat them, at some point you're going to have to join them. But Heels basically beat him last year, so it's not impossible. Not that he didn't have any 1800s guys, but he leaned way more heavily into modern guys than a lot of us do. All right. Oh, we got Shohei here by Pointy. This is fun. I know he's been drafted a lot earlier in previous drafts because he's like a modern Babe Ruth type player, and so you want to have him, but I think we've realized that just in FODEUSS he has some limitations. This is the 2023 stats. These are the pitching numbers. He's got 5 good pitches, right? They're not selling him too short. It's just it's not the epic stats we've seen from some of the, legendary pitchers, and he's not going to have, we'll have to go into his ratings here to see, he's not going to have the legendary batting stats either, but the batting stats are really good. I totally think you could DH him. At least maybe in a platoon, because look at the numbers against righties. You could platoon DH him. If you just want to get him some more at bats and see how he does, and then, I mean, if he's DHing against righties, then you could have him available out of the pen against lefties on those days, or I don't know how you would do it. maybe just try to do the Shohei experience. Just try him in the rotation and DHing on his days off and playing every day and use the Shohei rule so he can bat on the days he's pitching and just see what happens. I feel like if I ended up drafting him, that's what I would want to do to start the season. And if you give it 3 weeks and he sucks in his first 3 starts, then take him out of the rotation. And if he sucks at batting too, then okay, now you're just a bullpen guy and a pinch hitter. And that's fine if that's what it ends up being. But I think I would want to at least experiment at the beginning of the year and see if he could pull it off. Because the numbers aren't bad. And they're good enough that I feel like he could pull it off. He could be he could be useful in his regular role when he's not hurt, like when he was able to do both, when he was able to pitch and hit. And that would be amazing if it did work. So anyway, that would be what I would do. That's not really a suggestion what anyone else would do, because it's not about strategically, that might be the wrong thing to do. It's just about the fun of seeing Shohei be Shohei. And it very well could backfire. So I wouldn't advise doing it, but it is what I would do for sure. I think. All right, next we got Tim Keefe, 1883. Let's find him really quick. He's looking really good. Oh, wow, the changeup. I love that when you see a guy and you're like, oh, he's looking really good, and then you scroll down to see their last pitches, and they're like, oh, shit, he's looking even better. But he's got that crazy 1880s stamina. And if we keep in mind that, my theory is that these 1880s guys are getting a little bit scrunched, and then this guy might look even a lot better than this, actually. Because I know the only thing I really have to go on are the Toad Ramsey reports, because I just haven't had the money to get a bunch of reports, and those are actually the only pitcher reports I've got from NT. Everybody else I've got a scouting report has been an everyday, batter. And they look, and so it could be that my pitching all around is just a little bit low in the ratings, and the NTs is just looking a bit better. But I think it is going to vary for each individual player a little bit. But regardless of that, Tim Keefe is looking a lot better than a lot of pitchers we've looked at in this save. So I think even if you don't get a boost from the NT import, he's still going to be really good for you. So awesome pick by Amazing. And now we get into it. More talks about injury proneness as we finally have arrived at Cal McVey. And look at him. I mean, it's just the eye is terrible, right? But the rest of the batting stats, I mean, he looks crazy. But there it is, right here. Injury proneness, fragile. Every single time I've imported 1875, it has said that. And if you look at 1874, which I did bring in here, it's looking basically the same. The eye's actually a little bit better. The defense sucks both, and well, this defense really sucks here. That's why but it says injury proneness durable, right? So, but then I don't know, maybe in NTs it says injury proneness fragile for this year, and it says durable for the other one. Because the settings are different, I don't know if it's the same at all, and I'm just left to speculate. But I wouldn't be so fixated on it, except for the fact that this is the only guy of all the guys that I've imported in my other save, which is 600 guys. This is this one season of Cal McVey. There might be one or two others, but I don't think so. I do think this is the one season of Cal McVey is the only one of any of those guys that has this injury proneness of fragile. So it is worrying me. And the funny thing is, this is the year that I would actually maybe want to play him in the field. He's got pretty good outfield ratings. He could play right field. But I want to DH him just because I'm so worried about this fragile thing. And the other year, 1874, if I pick that year, I kind of have to DH him because his defense is terrible at every position. So it's that you're going to end up DHing him anyway. So my thought, as I'd mentioned at the end of the episode last week or on Thursday, is just to go with this 1875. And if he gets hurt, he gets hurt. But I guess got to try it because, I mean, like I said, there's a good chance that this isn't even there on NT's report. And if I try 1874 and he sucks, That would be worse than trying 1875 and having him get hurt to me, because I know that there's that risk going in. And so we'll see what happens. He's going to be the everyday DH. He's, I think his ratings are just as good. Yeah, pretty much just as good against righties and lefties. And he should be awesome if he does stay healthy. So we'll see. The stats are great. It is just the injury thing. Okay. And then RX picked Judy Johnson. So we can't look at Judy Johnson. Looks like we got a weird year there, NT, too. So I don't know what's going on, but I'm sure Judy will be good. Let's look at his stats really quick just to remind ourselves what kind of player Judy Johnson was. I just hate skipping over these guys. Yeah, he played from 1923 to 1936, so it can't be 75. I'm thinking maybe... 1925 is probably what it was. He had over 1,000 OPS that year. 158 OPS plus, 389 average, 15 doubles in 70 games. Like, just really solid. He had almost 400, so probably the year we're looking at, and should be really good. All right, moving on to the last pick of round 11, which is Heels with Garrett Cole. Not an ace. And Cole looking really good. Just, I think he didn't pick a year. I'm pretty sure that I brought in the 2019. I'm almost positive that this is the 2019 Cole. So yeah, he's got 5 pitches. They kind of descend in quality, but these top 2 are, elite pitches. And all the ratings are looking in the green and the turquoise. Stamina, 65, leaves a little to be desired. But that's maybe the one weak spot. But, the home runs allowed actually aren't as bad as I thought they might be. That's another thing, though. He is going to give up some homers, but at least it's in the green. So good pick with Cole. And then he picked Thor. He stole Thor from me, but I obviously would have picked Thor already if he looked better in my reports this year. I've had him in every out of the park season until now, and used him as a starter the first year, used him as a setup guy the second year, and used him as the closer last year, and he was good for me all 3 years. So I expect him to be good again, and I almost picked him anyway just because he was so good. And it's not like he looks terrible, right? It's just not what he looked like in previous editions of the game. But it could, again, it could be just I have the wrong year. Pitchers are getting scrunched. A lot of factors. So I would look at NT's reports, and I kind of wish I could see that report on Thor. Actually, now that he's gone, I don't. I wish I could see it. But if he would have still been around in a couple rounds, I probably would have scrounged up $1 so I could look at it. But hopefully he'll be really good. I'm sorry to see him go. And as always, drive safe. Okay, Lloyd. From Lloyd via RX through Lloyd and via RX. This is the draft pick that they swapped back and forth. And then outed me or tagged me because of their tomfoolery. Okay. Let's get into it. Mike Tiernan. And, he was picked by Lloyd, so we knew the stats were going to look good. Speed is crazy. The offense is completely balanced. If there's one hole in Lloyd's game, maybe it's his defense. I mean, he's got a lot of good defenders on the team, but then he's got some guys that, don't really have a great position. His outfield ratings aren't terrible, though. So, he's going to be okay out there, but I wouldn't probably put him in center. Maybe Lloyd just wants this guy as insurance. I think his lineup is already pretty stacked. He probably doesn't need him to do much. But if somebody gets hurt, he could be the guy that fills in, or he could just be great as a pinch hitter and in a limited role. But he's got the potential numbers are totally off the charts here. So it does seem like he's got the potential to be like an all-star type player in the league, but you could say that about just about anybody on Lloyd's team. And that's all I got to say about this guy. I don't know much about this guy. I don't know. I mean, it's probably maybe Lloyd has drafted him before or DP has, and it went under my radar, but hadn't heard much about him. I'll have to read up on him a bit more. See if I have his year. Yeah, 1891. It's the year I grabbed. I'm not sure if... No, Lloyd has 1888. Wonder why I grabbed 1891. Let me grab 1888. I think I got the wrong year. Maybe I just didn't think there was a year. That's what I think it is. I think I didn't think there was a year. So I just grabbed the one that looked the best to me. And as we've seen, Lloyd definitely has outsmarted me on some of these before. Oops. Trying to create a fictional player. That won't work. Okay, here comes 1888 Tiernan. Probably looks way better. That's probably like 5 stars and great defense. Throw out everything I just said. Well, the defense does look way better. So yeah, 1888. The offense looks similar. Speed looks similar. Like you're losing some notches here, gaining some there. It's like the same where it's like 4 stars with the potential for 5 on both versions of the guy. But Lloyd's probably right here, just because I think mostly because of that defense, he suddenly becomes a way more useful guy. So no surprises there. Lloyd has done his research when it comes to this game. All right, next we got Noodles Hahn, who's been, I think, rostered every year, but first time he's been on my team, I believe, except for in the World Baseball Classic. I did have him there, but I just think his profile looks great for a bullpen guy. He's got the crazy stuff, potential for 90 stuff, and he's just got this killer changeup. But since he's only got the 3 pitches, and since he's super reliant on his stuff, even though he does have good control, I just think bullpen. But he's another one of those guys that, like, if a starter goes down, especially if it's a lefty starter, because I have both Dave Brown and Toad as lefties, if one of those guys goes down, I'm going to want to bring a lefty in probably to replace him in the rotation. So having Noodles is great for that. And plus, I'm going to need lefties in the bullpen too. Before this, I only had Dazzy and Nolan Ryan, and they were both righties, obviously. So yeah, I'm excited to have Noodles. Bring it on. Let's go. And then we got Willie Wells, drafted by Amazing. Let's take a look at his stats. I feel bad that I haven't done this with all of the Negro League players, but it's kind of just nice to look and see what these guys did. Willie Wells played for a long time in the Hall of Fame, 25 seasons. Well, not quite. He went 21 seasons because there was some wartime in there. But what year did Amazing pick? Let's just look at those stats. 1930. Yeah, he hit 411, led the majors, led his league in homers, doubles, hits, RBIs, total bases. Had a 214 OPS plus. Yeah. 1930 Willie Wells should be crazy. I mean, we always know it's a little bit of a gamble with these Negro League hitters. It seems more so than pitchers even. And we've had some disappointing results in the past, so I wouldn't want to say for sure he's going to be awesome, but he obviously should be awesome. Great pick by Amazing. Okay. Next we have Tom Glavine, selected by Pointy. Yeah, he said that he was debating between Jim Palmer and Tom Glavine, so it's kind of cool we get to look at both of those guys in this episode eventually. And Glavine looks like one of these movement guys. He's not getting guys out by striking them out, but he's getting guys out. He's got, he's not allowing very many homers or hits. So that's, keeping the ball in the yard and not allowing a lot of hits. That sounds pretty good. He's holding runners. He's got good stamina. The control, I feel like should be a little higher, but it's not too bad. And again, probably another guy that's getting scrunched a little. But I think he looks pretty good. Like it's like you look at these two kind of different pitcher profiles, and so like if you're looking at a lot of guys that have this crazy stuff, when you pull up one of these guys, your immediate reaction might be like, "Oh no, he doesn't have the stuff." But this can work just as well, and we've seen that in previous seasons and guys that have been successful and won the championship. So I think it'll be a good pick. And then Minnesota with Francisco Liriano, who at first this one kind of looked like, oh no, he's just grabbing Minnesota guys. Although Francisco Liriano did start with the Mariners, I believe. But no, this is actually a crazy good pick. He looks like about as good as Noodles Hahn, yeah, these 4 insane pitches. This guy looks like starting rotation, honestly. As much as I would be like, oh yeah, bullpen guy, he's got the crazy stuff and the great crazy pitches. He's got 4 crazy pitches and he's got all these other good numbers. This guy looks like a starter to me. Ground baller, so you're gonna want to have that good infield defense behind him. But yeah, he looks awesome. And I don't think I had scouted this guy, which is pretty rare. Usually, when there are guys that we go through on these breakdowns, I've either scouted them already or they're not the guys that look like this usually. So this is one that definitely slipped through the cracks for me. But great pick by Minnesota. Once again. And next we have Sean with Hugh Duffy. And that was a pick that Minnesota got from Wang. That's the other thing. Like Minnesota stockpiled some extra picks and stuff. So his team looks even more loaded than others just because he has more rostered players and stuff. So anyway, looking really good. Okay, Sean with Hugh Duffy. And Hugh Duffy just looking really good. I feel like Hugh Duffy has disappointed a little bit in FODEUSS. And the BABIP is crazy, right? It's 75, but I feel like you hit 440, you should have 80. You should have 80 BABIP. Although I know why, or at least I think I know why, is because it's 1894 season and a bunch of guys hit over 400 that year. So hitting 440, even though it's a crazy number, wasn't that crazy for that year. Whereas Levi Meyerly, even though that 1871 season was so short, he hit 492 when nobody else, I think, even hit over 400. I think second place was probably George Wright with like a 380 batting average or something. I'm not sure if that's accurate, but but that's why he gets the 95. It's because it was so much better than the league. So getting the 75, that's still really good. You love to see it, and avoiding Ks as well. So he should be, and the power numbers look really good. And he's got good enough defense with these outfield ratings that I feel like he might be a little bit better in a corner outfield spot. And that's probably where you're going to have him. I don't know. I don't have the rosters up right now, but even if you play him in center, though, it looks really good. So I wouldn't, yeah. The range is good, which is what you want in center. So really good pick by Sean. Let's hope that Hugh Duffy has a good year this year, even though he's had his struggles. And then Cubby with Billy Williams. This was another surprise for me, actually. Another guy I hadn't scouted. But he looks real fucking good. A great defense and left. And just like another one of these guys that's just like lighting up the turquoise and the green. No holes in his game. His speed isn't excellent, but it doesn't matter so much when you got this great bat and this great glove. This is 1972 Billy Williams, by the way, Cubman. I thought that was kind of the clear-cut year for him, but there's obviously, 1970 had the 7.9 WAR, so that might be another year to look at. It's like a full a full win above replacement, but I think with the OPS and stuff, I think 72, especially relative to the league, because 72 was one of those crazy pitching seasons that he had a nuts OPS plus that year. So let me just look really quick. Yeah, he led the National League with a 172 OPS plus that year, whereas in 1970 it was only 148. I mean, which is still incredible, obviously, but I think I would stick with the 672 season, or get a couple actual reports from NT and see if I even know what I'm talking about at all. Okay, next we got RX with John Olerud. Another favorite of mine, but I'm just not sentimental in that way. I'm sentimental in other extremely weird ways about guys now at this point. Like when somebody took, when Wang took Jocko, I was way more broken up than when anybody took any Mariner guys. But, obviously Olerud's great season was with the Blue Jays anyway. But he's just looking really another one of these super balanced guys. Which you would expect. I would expect the BABIP to maybe be a little bit higher because he hit like 370 or something that year. And I think he had like 60 doubles. This I feel like maybe another guy where he didn't have the two lead up seasons. Otherwise, these numbers would be even crazier. And maybe that's the thing that's holding him back there a little bit. Yeah, because he had the 186 OPS plus in 93, but the lead-up seasons, 115, 127 OPS plus, not terrible, but those lead-up seasons, he didn't even hit over 300. So even though he did hit 363 with 54 doubles, he was coming off a year where he hit 284 with 28 doubles. So they're not giving him the 80 gap power or the 80 BABIP because of those lead-up seasons probably, but you're still getting these really balanced, really good numbers and this really good defense at first, so... Not going to steal, not going to bunt. Just not that part of the game. Just rule it out. But but as far as hitting the ball and playing good first base, he's a great pick. And that's kind of what you expect out of your modern day first baseman, at least. I know we've seen some of these guys from the old times that defy the odds. Catchers with 80 stealing aggressiveness, but the game has gone through some changes over the years. All right, Johnny Vandermeer. A lot of guys getting picked that were on my team. That's fine. I'm not really sad about seeing them go. But Johnny Vandermeer, a guy I had in my bullpen last year, and this is Minnesota again. And he's got the great stuff and the 3 great pitches. So I think that's what you're looking for out of him. I steered away. I definitely scouted this guy, but I just the control looked too concerning to me, and the BABIP. It's just he's going to be letting too many guys get on base if he's not striking them out. He's going to strike out a lot of guys though, and as a lefty, I feel let's look at his ratings really quick. Interesting. He actually has better numbers against righties. 3 of the categories are a notch better against righties. So that's interesting to see. Because I was my suggestion was maybe a specialist guy, because they do have that role in Out of the Park, a specialist against left-handed hitters, and he can just come in and strike one guy out. But if he's actually better against right-handed hitters, I don't know. But a lot of the left-handed hitters are going to be worse against left-handed pitchers. So it's pushing those 2 ratings together, and so he still might be actually more effective against lefties, but I don't know. I think just probably a short relief role, or maybe a long, maybe even a long relief role. I don't know, because he does have the 80 stamina, so it's not like he can't get through multiple innings. It's just you're gonna have to wait and see how these numbers actually, and again, maybe getting scrunched a bit here, so get the NT report. But Yeah, it's an interesting pick, and I feel like he did pretty good for me last year, so I think he'll do good again, hopefully. But we'll have to wait and see. Okay, Fred McGriff, the crime dog. So this is 93 McGriff, um, which is what you picked. And, the power, it looks like really good, like you would think. And the gap power as well. So it's like these bottom numbers are good as far as the offense. You'd like to see a little better contact. I mean, I've said it before, but that's my preference is I'm looking for contact guys first, and then power is the bonus, not guys that are the other way around. Also, you'd like to see a little better defense at first. So I did bring in another year here. And this was 89 McGriff here. And I thought it looked a bit better. It just like I looked at I looked up his baseball reference and I was looking at some of the numbers and I just thought this one might be a bit better. And I mean, he's still going to strike out quite a bit, but the BABIP is better, the power's even better, and the defense is better. So I think I go with this 89 McGriff probably. They're close though. Let's look at the other one again really quick. Yeah, they're close. But you had the 70 eye here and you had the 60 defense. And did you even have better base running as well? No, about the same. But I would get the reports from NT, but yeah, I think I would lean towards 89, young McGriff, 25-year-old McGriff. Then we have Tunes with Dennis Martinez. Should be really close. Yeah, it's right here. And El Presidente looking like another one of these kind of movement guys where you see this first number at first and you look at the pitches and you're like, oh no. But then you look at these numbers and you're like, actually, he doesn't have to have elite pitches. He doesn't have to have elite stuff if he can just make the ball move enough that people can't hit it hard. People are hitting ground balls at people. People are hitting lazy fly balls. And he's not walking very many guys. So this looks like a really good pick to me. Again, another one of these guys like that was such a great pitcher and was an all-star 4 times. And he's being measured against the very pinnacle historical greats in this game. So it's like the numbers don't look quite like what you'd want them to, but they look pretty good. And this movement basically counteracts this yellow that we're seeing, I think. So good pick, Tunes. Another fun pick by Tunes. Tunes and Yak building the 80s and 90s all-star teams. Love to see it. And then we got Wilbur Wood by Autumn. Wilbur Wood I expected to look better than he does. I remember being a bit nonplussed when I looked at his ratings, but he's another one that does have at least good movement, and he does have really good control. He's only got the 3 pitches. And I think your starting rotation is pretty full now. I don't know if this was like your 5th starter or if you're like kind of already looking towards the bullpen, but I definitely think this guy could have a good role in your bullpen. Especially, he's a lefty, so he can do some things there. He can be a matchup guy. Let's look at his ratings. He's the same against lefties and righties, but he'll get a boost against lefties because their ratings will be worse against left-handed pitchers probably. But he's got this Iron Man injury proneness. 65 stamina. Not the best, but not terrible either. Definitely usable. I mean, that lower stamina makes me lean even more towards a bullpen role for him. But I'd say a pretty good pick by Autumn. Autumn, again, building a very interesting team that I can't wait to see what they do. I'm really rooting for them. I hope that because I know Autumn's been near the bottom of the table before, and I don't want to see that again. So I'm hoping that these guys will work out, especially some of the picks that were kind of out of left field. I'm really hoping that those guys will turn into good FODEUSS players. All right, next we have Dark Lord of the Empire with Freddie Lindstrom, another guy who I believe was on my team last year. I know he's been on my team a couple years before. And looking really good. Got this great contact. You know, that's my focus mostly. So I'm willing to live with this, little bit weaker power. You'd like to see a little better eye, but it's not terrible. It's got the potential to be at least in the green. And really good on the bases. And decent defense at third. Like, decent enough that I wouldn't mind playing him there. I feel like, for me, I'm really trying to get this good infield defense, I'm looking for a little bit more like 60-65 range as my personal cutoff, but I think that 55 should be adequate. And if you wanted to stick him in right field, he's got ratings there, so like he is versatile that way. He can play the infield and the outfield. I feel like having this third base rating means you could also play him at first base pretty easily, and he'd probably be great there with these infield ratings. Like, one thing I don't think I mentioned before is if you do want to switch positions for guys to a position that they don't have any ratings for, I think you want to do that in spring training. I think you want to get them a lot of reps there in spring training, and then that'll establish their like baseline rating for that position. I wouldn't just like throw them in, like I wouldn't play him only at third base in spring training and then just like in the middle of the season try to throw him in the outfield. And right field would probably be okay because he does have a right rating there, but like throw him in left field or throw him at first base like middle of the season. If I know I'm going to try to play somebody at some different positions, I try to get him out there in spring training, and I did have some success with that last year. Both Heavy Johnson at third base and Roy Parnell at second base were killing it for me. And I don't think they made a lot of errors, but like I said in a previous episode, I never actually found the stats page last year, so I don't know. Maybe they did. I was just looking at the individual box scores and I didn't see a ton, so it seemed like they were doing okay. I can't say for sure. I don't know their zone rating or whatever, or their defensive WAR. But I'd say Freddie Lindstrom a really good pick. I think you're just getting punished a little bit here because 1930 was just such a crazy offensive season that you're not seeing the ratings that you might expect if he had the same numbers. This 379, 39 doubles, 22 homers. Yeah, you would expect in a different season that all these numbers would look a lot higher. But 1930 was 1930, and Al Simmons, Chuck Klein, Babe Herman, all these guys were just crushing it that year. Not to mention the usual suspects of Lou Gehrig and Babe Ruth and so on and so forth. All right, Rockin' Robin Roberts. We're down to the last two picks. We're almost there, guys. I know I went a little bit longer than last episode, but Tom is going to rant when it comes to baseball. Okay, Robin Roberts, where are you? And Robin Roberts looking really good. He's got this really good control. And this was Sith Overlord with this pick. 3 really good pitches. Everything else in the green. Amazing control. Control like we haven't seen from too many guys. And amazing stamina. And I was looking at this guy's stats earlier. He led the major leagues, not just the National League, but the major leagues in innings pitched for 5 years in a row. So what a workhorse. Hall of Famer Robin Roberts. Give it up for him. And I think a really good pick by Sith Overlord. So well done. I've had him on my team before too. But I don't think his ratings looked quite this good before. So I think this was a bit of a sleeper this time. And well done. And last, we have one more pitcher, Jedi Marine with Jim Palmer. Should just be up here a little ways. Yeah, there he is. And Palmer, another movement guy, another really good movement guy. And we've seen a lot of guys that fit this profile, so it'll be interesting to see how much success those guys have. But this is 75 Palmer because you didn't pick it. But I think it's kind of the clear-cut year for him. But, I mean, obviously he won the Cy Young Award 3 times. So he had at least 3 really good seasons, right? So I might just get those reports. I mean, there's other really good seasons too, though. So Yeah, I would probably look at a few reports of Jim Palmer, but I do think 1975, at least just statistically, looked like the best season. He's got the 80 stamina. He's got the great pitcher defense. And it's just he's just going to rely on not giving up a bunch of homers, not giving up many hits at all, and having decent control. So if you're just keeping guys off the base paths, it doesn't matter how you're doing it. You don't have to be striking them all out. And I think Palmer will be really good. He's been really good before. And it'll be interesting to watch who does better this season, Jim Palmer or Tom Glavine, and will Pointy regret his choice? A storyline I, at least, will be following. And I guess that's going to do it for another breakdown. Thanks for watching to the end of the video if you made it this far. Be sure to... No, I'm not going to do that. I will see you guys next time when we break down rounds 13 and 14 of FODEUSS. Adios.